The question of whether the Mandan tribe of Native Americans had European ancestry has intrigued scholars, historians, and anthropologists for centuries. This enduring curiosity stems from a combination of the Mandan people's physical characteristics, their unique culture and language, and the accounts of early European explorers. The Mandan, who historically inhabited regions along the Missouri River in present-day North and South Dakota, are known for their distinctive earth lodge villages, complex social structures, and rich traditions. The hypothesis of European ancestry, however, introduces a controversial and complex narrative that intertwines oral histories, archaeological evidence, and historical documentation with the biases and assumptions of early European observers. The Mandan tribe first came to the attention of European explorers and settlers during the 18th and early 19th centuries. Accounts of their encounters with the Mandan often emphasize the tribe's unusual physical traits, which were interpreted as evidence of possible European influence. Some members of the Mandan were described as having lighter skin, blue or gray eyes, and even blonde or reddish hair, features that were markedly different from those commonly associated with other indigenous groups in the region. These descriptions fueled speculation among early explorers that the Mandan might be descendants of a lost group of Europeans, such as the Norse, Welsh, or even the survivors of a mythical pre-Columbian voyage. However, these interpretations must be critically examined within the context of the Eurocentric biases and limited scientific understanding of the time. One of the most enduring theories about the Mandan's supposed European ancestry centers on the legend of Prince Madoc, a Welsh prince who, according to folklore, sailed to the Americas in the 12th century, long before Christopher Columbus's arrival. Proponents of this theory have suggested that Madoc and his followers intermingled with indigenous populations, possibly giving rise to the Mandan tribe. This idea gained traction in the 18th and 19th centuries, partly because of the fascination with discovering evidence of pre-Columbian transatlantic contact. However, the Madoc legend lacks concrete historical evidence, and most scholars consider it a product of myth and speculation rather than a credible historical account. Another theory posits that the Mandan's physical traits and cultural practices could be traced to contact with Norse explorers, who are known to have reached parts of North America, such as Newfoundland, around the year 1000 CE. The Norse hypothesis suggests that Viking settlers may have traveled farther inland and left a genetic imprint on indigenous populations, including the Mandan. While intriguing, this theory is similarly unsupported by solid evidence. Archaeological findings of Norse settlements are confined to the northeastern regions of North America, with no credible indications of Norse presence in the Central Plains where the Mandan lived. The observations of early European explorers and traders further contributed to the narrative of European ancestry among the Mandan. French-Canadian explorer Pierre Gaultier de Varennes, Sieur de la Vérendrye, visited the Mandan in the 1730s and documented their customs, physical appearance, and settlements. His writings noted the Mandan's advanced agricultural practices, well-constructed villages, and unique societal organization. Subsequent explorers, such as Lewis and Clark during their famous expedition in 1804 to 1806, also remarked on the Mandan's physical characteristics and sophisticated culture. However, these accounts often reflected the observer's preconceived notions and a tendency to interpret differences through a Eurocentric lens, which could have amplified or distorted perceptions of European traits among the Mandan. Linguistic evidence has also been explored in the quest to understand the Mandan's origins. The Mandan language, a member of the Siouan language family, exhibits distinctive features that have puzzled linguists and fueled speculation about external influences. Some researchers have attempted to draw connections between the Mandan language and European languages, but these comparisons have largely been speculative and inconclusive. The linguistic uniqueness of the Mandan language is more likely a reflection of the tribe's geographic isolation and complex interactions with neighboring indigenous groups, rather than evidence of European ancestry. In addition to linguistic evidence, cultural practices and artifacts have been scrutinized for potential European influences. The Mandans' construction of earth lodges, their use of riverine trade networks, and their intricate ceremonial traditions are often cited as examples of their advanced societal development. Some early observers claim that these practices bore similarities to European techniques or traditions, but such comparisons are tenuous at best. Indigenous cultures across the Americas developed highly sophisticated systems independently, and the similarities perceived by European observers were likely coincidental or the result of parallel innovation rather than direct influence. Genetic research has added a modern dimension to the investigation of the Mandans' ancestry. Advances in DNA analysis have allowed scientists to explore the genetic makeup of indigenous populations, offering insights into their origins and migrations. Studies of ancient and contemporary Native American DNA have overwhelmingly confirmed that the ancestors of indigenous peoples in the Americas originated in Asia, migrating across the Bering Land Bridge during the last ice age. While genetic diversity exists among indigenous groups due to thousands of years of adaptation and regional differentiation, there is no evidence to support the idea of significant European genetic contribution to the Mandan or other pre-Columbian tribes. The Mandans' interactions with European settlers and traders in the 18th and 19th centuries further complicate the narrative. The arrival of Europeans brought not only new technologies and goods, but also diseases that devastated indigenous populations. Smallpox, in particular, had a catastrophic impact on the Mandan, reducing their population to a fraction of its former size by the mid-19th century. The intermingling of survivors with other tribes and settlers may have introduced European genetic markers into the population, but these post-contact influences should not be conflated with pre-Columbian ancestry. The persistence of the theory that the Mandan had European ancestry reflects broader cultural and historical dynamics. During the 18th and 19th centuries, European and American audiences were fascinated by the idea of lost civilizations and pre-Columbian contact. This fascination was partly driven by a desire to validate European presence in the Americas by linking it to earlier mythical voyages. The Mandan, with their distinctive characteristics and culture, became a convenient focal point for such narratives. However, these theories often ignored or undervalue the Mandan's own oral histories, which emphasize their deep connection to the Missouri River region and their long-standing presence in North America. Modern scholarship has increasingly emphasized the importance of centering indigenous perspectives and knowledge in discussions of history and ancestry. The Mandan have their own rich oral traditions that trace their origins to sacred places and events, providing a counterpoint to external speculations about European ancestry. These traditions highlight the Mandan's resilience, creativity, and deep relationship with their environment, offering valuable insights into their identity and history that cannot be reduced to simplistic theories of outside influence. In conclusion, the question of whether the Mandan tribe had European ancestry is a complex and multifaceted issue that reflects the interplay of historical accounts, cultural interpretations, and scientific inquiry. While early European explorers and settlers often speculated about the Mandan's origins based on physical traits and cultural practices, these interpretations were shaped by the biases and limitations of their time. Modern genetic, linguistic, and archaeological evidence overwhelmingly supports the conclusion that the Mandan, like other indigenous peoples of the Americas, have ancestral roots in Asia and developed their unique culture independently over millennia. The persistence of the European ancestry narrative underscores the need to critically examine historical sources and to prioritize indigenous voices and perspectives in understanding their own history. Ultimately, the Mandan story is one of ingenuity, adaptation, and cultural richness, offering profound lessons about the diversity and complexity of human societies.